Okay, it is 8:30. I will call this meeting of the Environment and Land Use to order. And roll call. Larson here. Down
Whalen here.
Riker here.
Scoug here.
Tony Munson here.
Severson here.
that covers it for committee. I don't see the other, all but one here. Okay. Certification of the open meeting law requirements. Yep, I got a nod. Yeah. There's the other people here, employees, et cetera, staff.
Rick Resident, County Conservationist.
Mark Carlson, zoning.
Kathy Nelson, DLM.
Rebecca Gluin, County Administrator.
Sorry. Kai Jung, Public Health.
Okay,
Susan Fisher, Corporation Counsel.
sorry, I didn't look your way far enough. Okay, thank you. We have, better look, a 19-item agenda this morning. Looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second that.
second. Whalen. Questions? Comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have a public comment period of 15 minutes. Members of the public will have a 15-minute block of time to comment on today's agenda items. Members may be present in person or call in to make such comments. To comment by telephone, please call 715-538-1894. Public comment may be extended or curtailed at the discretion of the committee chair after advisement by the committee. I would ask anybody that's here to testify for any of the public hearings to hold off till that time. Is there anybody here wishing to comment on any other agenda items we have this morning? Seeing none, hearing none. Leave it open for a couple of minutes and just move on to minutes.
I got one change, on page 3,
Let's,
it's,
you want to make the
For the
motion?
minute.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July.
no, because I have a correction on page 3. It says Act 58, and
Can
it
do
should
it
be
during
Act 60.
Right?
Supervisor Scoug is correct. Once there's a second, then there can be discussion on an update.
Second.
Okay, now we can discuss, or question.
Just one correction on page 3 or whatever, instead of Act 58, it should be Act 68 for subdivision.
Okay? Everybody got that one? Anything else? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item numbers, yeah. Item number 7, public hearing, modification to conditional use permit, COP, non-metallic mining permit for the purpose of adding a high-capacity well and sand wash ponds by Milestone Materials, a division of Matthey Construction. Petitioner owner, Town of Caledonia. Public hearing is now open, and I believe we have people wishing to testify. Yep, okay, so read the,
You are hereby given notice that the following public hearing will be before the Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, August 5th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. in the County Boardroom of the Courthouse, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773. The hearing requested by Milestone Materials operators to consider a modification to their conditional use permit for the addition of a high-capacity well and sand washing ponds. The location is the northwest one quarter of the southeast one quarter and the southwest one quarter of the northeast one quarter, section 19, township 18 north, range 8 west in the town of Caledonia, Trumpealeau County, Wisconsin. Parcel numbers are listed. To provide public comment on this hearing during this meeting, please call 715-538-1894. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this hearing. If you are unable to attend and have any questions, please call Rick J. Reisinger with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1922 or email to rickreisinger@county.trempealeau.wisconsin.us. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit a written comment, please send your written comments to the Department of Land Management, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773, or email to, once again, Rick. All emails and written comments must be received by August 4th, 2026 at 4:30 PM. Please know that written comments up to 250 words will be read during the public hearing. All written comments must include the name and address of its author. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to the meeting date by calling Rick J. Reisinger of the Department of Land Management, 715-538-1922. Sincerely, Rick J. Reisinger, County Conservationist, Conservation Manager.
Rick, do you have input for us?
I did receive the application from Milestone. It does include a high-capacity well. They are also in the process of getting that permitted through the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. I have not seen anything from them yet that has actually been permitted through the DNR. And I do have a letter from the town of Caledonia. And I do have an email from somebody that was responded. You want me to read those now?
I believe we should, yes.
Okay. Town of Caledonia, dear zoning administrator, environmental land use committee members, on behalf of the town of Caledonia Town Board, this letter is to formally notify the Trempealeau County Zoning Department that the town board has reviewed and approved the request submitted by Milestone Materials to modify the current CUP at the Sonatag Haas pit to allow for the installation of a high-capacity well and creation of wash ponds. The request was considered by the town board at its duly noticed meeting on July 21st, 2026. After review and discussion, the town board approved the request. Please include this letter as part of the official record for the application to modify the CUP. Sincerely, Sarah Halderson, Clerk Treasurer, Town of Caledonia. And I do have an email from, I might butcher the last name, but Kyle Harris. It says, Dear Mr. Reisinger, I am a nearby property owner on Shear Road and unfortunately will not be able to attend the public meeting on August 5th regarding Milestone Materials' request to modify their conditional use permit. I would appreciate it if the following questions and concerns could be addressed as part of the public record. My primary concerns is the potential impact on neighboring private wells and groundwater. The questions are, where specifically within the listed parcels will the proposed high-capacity well be located? What is the proposed pumping capacity of the wells, gallons per minute and gallons per day? Has a hydrologic or groundwater impact study been completed? If so, is it available for public review? What evaluations has been done or have been done to determine whether nearby residents' wells could experience reduced water levels, lower pressure, or other impacts? Will nearby private wells be tested before the project begins to establish baseline conditions? Will groundwater levels and neighboring wells be monitored after the well is put into operation? If a private well is negatively impacted as a result of this project, what responsibility will Milestone Material have to restore or replace the affected water supply? How many additional trips per day are expected because of this expansion? Will truck traffic increase on Shear Road and other nearby local roads? What hours will the sand washing operation and related equipment be permitted to operate? And what measures will be taken to minimize noise, dust, and other impacts to nearby residents? That is all I have.
You have? Okay. Is there a representative from Milestone here? Please come to the microphone and push the button. Thank you.
How's that sound?
If you want to pull it up, you can too.
Okay. There you go. Well, yes, thank you, everybody. My name's Bob Service. I'm a geologist with Milestone Materials. We're a division of Matthew Construction Company out of Onalaska, Wisconsin, and we operate the old Hafes Sonantag sand pit in Section 19 on 11th Street in the town of Caledonia. With me today is Alan Olson. Alan is an operations manager in charge of the sand mining operation at that facility, and we'd be happy to address the questions that were read off by Mr. Reisinger. But to start out, I don't know, I wasn't sure if we'd pull up the application, but a lot of my discussion will refer to one of the map displays in the application. I brought a couple copies. I'd be happy to hand those out if that is acceptable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
Can we get copies back here, please?
I got one.
Just grab it.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. For a little bit of history, you guys, we're talking about the old Hafes pit. It was started back in 1992 on 20 acres. That pit was expanded onto 60 acres back in 1998, and then expanded onto the 160 acres shown in the outline on the handout here back in 2020. And in 2025, Milestone Materials and Matthew Construction bought that property and transferred the permits to Milestone as operator in March of 2025. So we've been operating that since March of 2025, and recently we've noticed an increased demand in the area for washed sand. And to accommodate that increase in demand, we've have a need to install a high-capacity well and wash ponds at the site. What you see on the map is the location of the well. That was one of the questions asked. That's shown with the dot on the map. And you can see the location of the wash ponds as well. You can also see in cross-section the wash pond design that we're planning. We're planning to build these wash ponds above the pit floor, and that is to conform to the town of Caledonia's 10-foot separation rule from the underlying groundwater table. So the pits in the area are supposed to keep a 10-foot separation from the underlying groundwater. So we'll be building these ponds above the pit floor. We'll do that via earthen containment dikes, and then we're going to line those ponds with clay that we'll import from our nearby Kings Bluff quarry in the town of Holland in La Crosse County. The well, as Mr. Reisinger mentioned, is currently, that'll be permitted by the DNR. So the DNR will be evaluating all these things regarding water quality and water quantity impacts in the area associated with this operation. So we applied for the high-capacity well with the DNR back in April. That application's still under review. Once we receive that approval, we'll forward that to Trempealeau County, but they are the regulator in charge of the water use and the water quality at the site. The well that we have planned will be a 200-foot well. That's similar to a lot of the other irrigation wells in the area. It'll be 12 inches in diameter. That's a little smaller than most of the irrigation wells in the area. A lot of those irrigation wells are 16 inches in diameter. This well will be screened. It'll have a slotted screen in the bottom 40 feet of the 200-foot well depth to allow groundwater to come into that zone from the aquifer. We're going to install a 600-gallon per minute pump in this well. That, again, is a little bit smaller than a typical irrigation well in the area. Typical irrigation wells in the area produce generally 1,000 to 1,200 gallons a minute. So our water use will also be less than a typical irrigation well in the area. We're proposing to run the well probably 24 hours or all day for about a day and a half to 2 days, sorry. Day and a half to 2 days to fill the pond. Once the ponds are full, while we're washing, we'll probably need to run that well for 4 to 7 hours a day to provide makeup water as we wash. And that water makes up for water loss from the ponds from evaporation, infiltration through the pond bottoms, and also water that would go into our product stockpiles. So we've encountered that at a lot of other facilities where we wash, needing to produce makeup water to keep those ponds full. Once the ponds are full, we're gonna circulate the water through the ponds in a closed loop. So we're gonna recycle the water. We're gonna intake it from one end, run it through the wash plant with the sand to wash the sand, and then we'll discharge it at the other end of the pond to be retaken back in after it's given time to settle. We're not proposing any other changes to the operation of the site. Hours won't change, haul routes won't change, and we're not expecting a big change in truck numbers due to this. And Alan can speak more to the demand for this amount of sand. We don't expect a really large demand for this material, and so we're only expecting to need to wash about every other year. And we're only expecting to need to wash for about 3 to 6 weeks every other year. Trying to think of the other questions that I've heard.
While you're thinking, I have, in your diagram picture, you're talking about a 60 mil liner if needed. What's the definition of if needed?
If the ponds don't hold water very well, we could put that in to reduce the amount of water that we need to use.
So at that point, you'd have to remove all the clay and then put the liner in and then
If we
replace
had to retrofit the pond, we could remove the clay
Okay.
and put the liner down, or put the liner over the clay and wash that way.
Why not just do that up front?
That would be a possibility if that was a requirement. There's considerable cost associated with those liners, and we've done a lot of washing in ponds with just clay liners without the high-density polyethylene liner, and that's functioned well for our purposes. So it'd be a cost-saving measure to avoid that if possible.
Do you have experience with other ponds and similar structure as what you're proposing for Caledonia?
Yes, sir. We wash in similar setups at a lot of different facilities.
Do you have liners in those?
By and large, no. There are very
All right.
few of those have liners.
All right, thank you.
It feels a little bit cart before the horse. Shouldn't we have the DNR permit approved and then do the conditional use?
I'm not 100% sure on that right off, the top of my head. It would kind of make sense a little bit, but we could have that as a condition that, if the DNR permit is approved, or this is approved based on the DNR permit being approved.
Well, I assume that's what we would do, but if something turns up in the DNR permit, and we've already approved the conditional use, does that nullify the conditional use?
I would think so. Yep.
Yes, if you have a condition and the condition's not being able to be met, then
Yeah.
it would be done.
So is that embedded in the application then, or do we have to specifically make a statement that any decision we take is pending DNR application or permit? Go ahead,
I think
Mark.
we would add that to
I
the.
believe that would be stated as a condition on the conditional use permit itself.
Is it in there? I didn't, it is.
On the application, there's either a box that says standard conditions apply, or you can have a list of conditions on the back side of the application.
Guess I'd like to say that my big concern really isn't the amount of water, because I know irrigation, just like you said, gets used for farms all the time, but it's the quality of water, and then if it's hurting the table water at all. You know, I don't want anybody's well affected, so I'd like to see and hear from the DNR, at least their opinion on it before I vote on a permit.
If I may respond to that?
Please?
Again, this would be not something that we could install without the prior DNR approval, so we have absolutely no problem with that being inserted as a condition of the permit, that we must obtain that DNR permit first. The DNR, again, is going to be looking at those questions you brought up, water quantity and water quality in relation to surrounding wells and surface waters. Their review process is taking a little longer than it has in the past. So in the interest of time, we got both applications going together, and it just so happens this one outpaced the DNR. So thank you for that. We have looked at the impacts of the surrounding groundwater table ourselves using standard hydrogeologic calculation methods. The equation used was the TICE equation, that's T-H-E-I-S, and we've entered the parameters that we intend to pump out of this aquifer. So we've entered aquifer thickness, that's 200 feet. We know that from looking at surrounding well records. We know the transmissivity of the aquifer. That can be gleaned from nearby well records when they do pump tests on these. And then we look at the position of nearby private water supply wells. The nearest one to this is 1,500 feet. So when we input those parameters into the TICE equation for this system, we come up with a half a foot of drawdown at that nearest well at 1,500 feet, so 6 inches or less. And that we consider to be an insignificant impact on the water table at the point of the most nearby well user. And we expect the DNR to come to that same conclusion, so we do expect the DNR to approve this the same way they have to approve all the irrigation wells on the landscape. Again, this would be less water use than those. There's about 1 to 2 irrigation wells per section in this area, so they're not uncommon. And again, they're using considerably more water than us. In terms of water quality, we're not proposing to use chemicals. We're just proposing to use clear water and run that through the plant and return it to the wash pond to settle out the silt-sized particles. And then we'll recycle that as best we can.
How do you do that? Because that pond will fill up with silt over time. Do you have to dredge it or something over time?
That will get cleaned out as it fills up with fines. So we don't expect, based on this type of deposit, the sand here is already pretty clean to begin with. We're just giving it a little rinse to get it to comply with certain construction specifications. So we don't expect, and we're not going to be producing very large volumes of this washed sand. There's only a modest demand for that product at this time. Again, we're only going to wash about every other year to put up the material we need to sell for the next 2 years. So based on the low volume of production and the sand being pretty clean to begin with, we don't expect these to fill up with fines very much, but when they do, yes, we go in there with a backhoe and we scoop that material out to maintain the capacity of those ponds to settle out the fines as intended.
Anything else for him? Hearing nothing, I guess I thank you at this point, but stay available if there's testimony or
Yes, sir.
questions coming, so.
Yes, sir. We're happy to answer questions.
You bet. Next thing is calling for public testimony. I have a number of sheets here. I will start with the one on top, except that I have to guess at the first name. Is it Jim Schultz? Yeah. Okay. I saw the J, but I couldn't tell the rest. Okay, please come to the microphone with, yeah.
Yeah, my name's James Schultz. We live on the northwest corner of Section 19. We've been there for 30 years, and before that, it was my great-uncle's place, and most of the sand pit was my great-uncle's farm. Currently, within 1 mile of our property, there are 6 high-capacity wells. Within 3 miles, there's 12. One neighbor's well went dry a couple years ago, and I've been waiting for ours to kick out. When they're running irrigation, there's thousands of gallons of water being pumped, and most of it evaporates into the air. And also my thoughts are with the ponds. How is this going to be for mosquitoes and wildlife problems and things in the area for that? But my big concern is the water usage. So I guess that's about all I got to say about it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
The next one is Joan Schultz? Joan?
Joan Schultz. First of all, I'd like a clarification on the location. The paper legal notices had a larger area that this is going to be cited on, twice as big as what was in the letter. So my concern is, are they doing the larger thing and then later putting another wash pond on or another well in the other corner of this area?
Okay.
Another concern I have is the odors from the wash pond, the stagnant water. I like to hang clothes out on the line to dry, and if it's an odor, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm probably the only one in the county that does it, but, you know, it's important to me. And the odor would be, you know, we don't have air conditioning, so we have our windows open, you know. We just want the quality of life out in the country to be what it is now. And I understand they do manure that hangs in the air for a few days. But if this is running and sitting there for however long, it could hang for a long time if there are odors from stagnant water, which I think we all know that there is after time. I guess that, and then he did not address the idea of having our wells tested before this goes into effect, or who's going to be responsible if there's damage from it.
Okay.
So those are my concerns. Thank
By the
you.
way, I wish I could convince my wife to use the solar dryer. Okay, do you have any responses to these before we move on, so we kind of? Okay, please come back.
Okay, so with regard to the size of the ponds, the size will be roughly as shown. We don't need them to expand. We may need them to move. For instance, as the sand deposit gets depleted, we may move the ponds to keep them closer, just to minimize hauling truck traffic to and from the ponds. We would hope to be able to have that flexibility to move these ponds. The well will stay as shown, unless approved by the DNR, that gets moved, again, within the permit boundaries here. With respect to the mosquito question, these ponds will dry out between use, so they're not going to hold water year-round, is the intention. And we don't expect noxious odors at the property lines associated with this pond whatsoever. The pond will be about a half acre in size.
Just when you say they will, any anticipated time on how long to dry up? I mean, this is quite a chunk of water to my brain.
We'll bring Alan Olson
Okay.
over.
Hello, I'm Alan Olson, area manager for Milestone. So the ponds themselves will likely dry out depending on, the current weather conditions in a matter of weeks. They won't hold water for very long, even with that clay liner. And we'll probably just open it up and let it dry out a little quicker. If we use a liner, then they'll hold water a little bit longer. In our other wash operations and sand pits, most of the time we just use clay, they dry out, and then they're good until the next year.
Okay, Randy?
Maybe you could explain a little bit about the actual process, what, mechanical steps, the water gets pumped, how does it, is it a conveyor belt that's, washes and screens?
So, yeah, the water comes, we pump directly into the ponds, and the ponds are built and designed in a way to have flow to it, so it drops out the fine. So the water fills up the ponds, we hook a wash plant up to it, and we feed the sand into the wash plant, and it's just sprayed water, and it's just washing out the fine material. So we're not adding anything to it, we're just washing out the smaller particles. Part of that is certain specs, like in Minnesota, sand used in concrete has to be washed. Doesn't matter if it's clean enough, it has to be washed per the spec. So as it's washed, those fine particles are carried out by the water into the pond, and then there's flow, and they just drop out, and so the water can be recycled and come back as clean on the other side. So it just makes a circular motion to drop the fines out. No chemicals added, no extra process to it.
I just think, the concern, if the water is sitting there, do you have any kind of aeration plan? I mean, is that a possibility or not?
The water, it wouldn't sit there. Even if it's got a clay liner, it's not gonna be that deep. It would only be a couple feet deep. And with the clay, it's still gonna leach through. It's not that much water, but if we had to, if there was concern, we could just pop the side of the pond open and just let the water kind of run out.
Well, I guess, you just mentioned only a couple feet deep. Your drawing shows water at 12 foot.
feet. Yeah, at the tallest level, that's the size of the dike, but when it's running, it's only gonna stay that full when it's running.
Okay.
It's gonna settle out pretty quick, even in our other wash operations and sand pits. Even when you line it with clay, the problem in sand pits is there's not enough clay to actually seal it up. The ponds will go dry, but as I said, we can just open up the side and let any remaining water out, because it's just water with the fines from the
Okay,
sand. in it.
I was just trying to address the lady's concerns with
Yep.
possible stale water.
No, we won't have that issue.
Okay.
Is there going to be a containment fence around this whole area as far as where the pond is available?
Yeah, it'll be a berm around it, and we have, is that, what do you mean, like?
What I mean is you got white-tailed deer running through, and they don't understand fences a lot of time, and you get water, and it's an attractive nuisance for wildlife, just to make sure. And the flavor, the smell of the water is going to increase if a deer happens to pop in there and doesn't get out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't really have that issue. The deer actually enjoy the water at other areas where we do wash those.
So they're going to have access to the water, the
Yeah.
deer will?
Yep.
There won't be a containment structure around the outside of it?
Just a berm, but the water's not gonna have any, it wouldn't be bad for any wildlife.
But if one gets stuck in there because it's going to have a slurry in there, I'm just trying to anticipate.
So.
If there's no fence around it in this area, you're going to have wildlife.
So in a sand washing operation, it's not really a slurry. It's just finer particles. It's not like washing out limestone where there's clay and deep sediment. These ponds won't have to be cleaned for many years of washing, because the sand is already clean. It's basically per certain state specs, we have to have washed sand. They can't use any sand in Minnesota unless it's washed.
And I understand it. I'm just
Yep.
looking at the wildlife containment, restricting it out, because that could add to the smell, could add to some problems that you might have. Do you have any other experience as far as where you do have a large wildlife concentration in an area?
Yeah, we have wash ponds at our limestone site in Kings Bluff, just down the road at the town of Holland. We have open ponds and the deer are all over.
And you haven't had any experience with any problems with the deer?
No problem.
Just checking as far as
Yep.
when you,
No,
for
I
me,
actu-
when I put something in, I make sure that the deer can't access it, because there's always problems.
Yeah, we haven't had any issues, and actually, it's quite a wildlife attractant. I've got a picture of a doe and a fawn right by our wash ponds, and they're still running around in the quarry, so, no issue with that I've seen. I've got 20-plus years with the company in the production side of it. And there won't be like a slurry that they would get stuck in. It wouldn't be anything like that at this location.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Tony?
My understanding is of a clay liner, it's not impermeable, it doesn't leach down that's my thought for manure pits and poultry barns now, they all got clay lined bases instead of concrete. I just thought that was the barrier, so nothing leached to the groundwater, but.
It depends on how thick you put it. We just need it to hold the water while we're washing. We don't need to hold it forever.
But during the drying out process, there will be a point where it would be slurry-like.
Yeah, but it really wouldn't take that long. It's sand, so what we're washing out is finer sand particles, the silt and loam that's in the sand already, so it's not, and it's gonna be very little. When we screen it now, it's just a little percentage of the fine particles that we're trying to wash out. So it's not gonna be a huge amount of smaller particles. But the water itself, yes, the clay barrier is to help prevent it, but it's just earth and ponds. So if we have to, we can just open up one side of it once the water leaches down. It's just water that's, it'll likely evaporate or leach through, but it won't stay there. Because in other instances, in other areas, we don't have it. Even at some of our limestone sites, it just sort of evaporates and leaches out.
But them puddles, certain times of year, like last week when it was hot and humid, they get a green algae or green scum that can smell. If it would last 2 weeks to 10 days, I don't know what the evaporation period is when you're done, which I assume is fall, so the algae blooms wouldn't be that, but depending on when you're running your cycles.
I couldn't speak to that. I haven't seen any algae blooms in the puddles, and we have to spray water for dust control. Every day we spray water in there. So regardless, there's always water and there's puddles, but I have yet to see any algae blooms in our puddles.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Move on to the next one is Donald Meyer.
Good morning. My name is Don Mayer. My wife Lisa and I live on 11th Street, and we oppose the conditional use permit. I think the fundamental question that this board should ask itself is, how does this conditional use permit fit into the created and adopted 2018 to 2038 Town of Caledonia Comprehensive Plan? And the answer is it doesn't. That plan states on a regular basis that all residents, agricultural enterprises, and businesses will need to rely on well water, and that it's of the utmost importance to protect the aquifer. In addition, I think this board should ask itself, how does this conditional use permit provide public benefit or economic benefit to the town of Caledonia? Not Milestone Materials or Matthew Corporation, but the town of Caledonia. And again, the answer is it doesn't. It's going to have a negative impact with respect to pollution. There will be more noise, more dust, and more potential water pollution. They said that high-capacity wells wouldn't cause any issues in Central Sands as well, and you all know where that ended up. It's great to have them stand here and say that they're only going to operate it a short period of time, but are those definitions included in the conditional use permit? The actual hours that they're going to operate it and the time periods that are going to operate it and the amount of water that they're going to use? I don't think so. With respect to the truck traffic that's associated with this, today, if you drive on 11th Street, you have to be a defensive driver. There is a stop sign at the end of the current mining operation. It is an optional sign. You know, I'm not opposed to non-metallic mining. It's part of our comprehensive plan. But in that section of the comprehensive plan, it talks about open pits. It does not talk about this capability of high-capacity water and/or sand washing ponds. It's part of our town, and we knew that when we signed up, and the creators and adopters of the comprehensive plan knew that, but it didn't go to this extent, and it shouldn't go to this extent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you have a response?
We can respond to that. This operation is in the town of Caledonia's designated non-metallic mining overlay district. So this is a designated use that we're conducting at this location. In terms of, I'm struggling with the other questions that he had, but there has been and is washing permitted in this district. Kroll Ready Mix operates a pit in this overlay district adjacent to the permit application property, and they have the ability to wash sand at their facility. There's also existing ability to wash at this current facility, just not on the parcels where we would like to position the well. So there's been washing on this permit since 1993. There was a letter indicating that to the zoning administrator at that time. That letter was from Don Hafe, indicating that they began washing in 1993. So there is that ability that was permitted back in 1998, that ability to wash. The ability to wash is limited to the north 60 acres on the property. And the existing well is not at the capacity that we need for our wash pond designs. So we're just upgrading the existing permitting to allow the ponds and well on the southern parcels and an increased well capacity. So this is not a new use in the district. We're in the district that's designated for these uses. And again, we're regulated by the DNR in terms of quality and quantity to ensure no adverse effects to the quantity or quality of water for nearby users.
You have a well there now, a smaller one?
There is a smaller well there now, yes.
Will that be capped then?
That functions for the shop facility there, so we would keep that well functioning. And the DNR is aware of that well, and they have to account for all the wells at the property. The next thing, we're not proposing any change in truck traffic associated with this. This is just a shift from an unwashed product to a washed product, so we expect truck traffic and sales to remain generally the same.
Okay, the gentleman had another another question, so go ahead if you have a quick one.
Yeah, I mean.
Please come up.
Yeah, no problem. Clearly, we do have a non-metallic section to our comprehensive plan. In it, though, it says quality of life. The items previously discussed point out that non-metallic mining industries impacts the town of Caledonia. Taken as a whole, the noise, dust, water quality issues, future tax base, traffic, etc., negatively affect the property values and quality of life of the town of Caledonia residents and landowners. I don't know why we'd want to expand that. I mean, that's part of our comprehensive plan. And ideally, as a board, I hope you've taken that into consideration.
Thank you. Okay. Did you want to respond?
The final point we'd like to make is that we're not expanding here, we're just adjusting our processing. Again, County Materials has been washing here.
Okay. Next one up is Lisa Mayer.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to testify.
What?
She didn't want us to testify.
Can that be a condition of the conditional use permit? How many hours they're going to operate, that it's only going to run 4 to 6 weeks every other year?
Rick, do you have a comment to that?
There is language in the county ordinance for operation requirements. And extraction shall be allowed Monday through Friday between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. during the daylight savings time, and between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. during standard time. Extraction shall be allowed Saturday between 7 and 3 p.m. No extraction shall be allowed on Sundays or holidays as defined in section 1305 of this ordinance. Processing may be allowed between Monday at 6 a.m. through Saturday at 3 p.m. No processing shall be allowed between Saturday at 3 p.m. and Monday at 6 a.m. That is already spelled out in the county ordinance.
That's for mining, though. I mean, they're standing here telling us that they're going to operate it for 3 to 6 weeks every other year, and they'll have enough material. I mean, will they make that part of this conditional use permit?
Well, that's up for the committee to discuss, but we'll take it under consideration.
They do have in the letter a statement, not as explicit, but it says operating 3 months per year during the construction season, March through November. So that's in that becomes part of the conditional use permit, the letter that was provided by Matthew?
If you guys want to include that.
They submitted it as an attachment to the conditional use permit.
So I would certainly think it's something we can include, yeah, when we get to that. Don't know. Okay? Now, was Lisa going to come up? No, okay. Okay. Next one is Grace Jensen? How close am I? It looks like GRA, and after that, I can't tell anything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Grant?
Hi. Hi. I'm on the south side of Section 19, probably the closest to the entrance.
State your name and address.
My name is Grant Jensen, W21-768 11th Street. It's good to see a lot more people here. It looks like everything got upgraded since the last meeting I was at. Like everybody here, I have water concerns, air concerns, and noise concerns. Noise concerns probably at the lowest. Water probably at the highest. From what I was hearing Bob say from Matthew, is that they're going to run this in cycles. It's going to take 2 days to fill these ponds, which is 1.7 million gallons of water. And then while they're running it, they're also going to be pulling it 4 to 7 hours a day. So we don't know how many times this is going to cycle in a 3 to 6 week period. And as also mentioned, there's no parameters saying we're going to hold you to this 3 to 6 weeks. You know, we could find out a year from now that it's 3 to 6 months, and they say, well, there's no parameters that say we can't run that, you know. Also mentioned was Minnesota has a demand for washed sand. Why isn't there sand coming from Minnesota? Is Minnesota allowing this type of thing in their state? Part of the concerns. So that's it with the water, right? So I think that, as also mentioned, who's going to be responsible for wells in the area if there are problems? If they go dry or sediment increases, who's going to test it? When they going to test it? How are they going to test it? And is this information going to be shared? In addition to that, when the water is tested on site where it's washing, who's going to do it? How's it going to be done? Is the information going to be shared? What are the parameters going to be? Doesn't seem to be a lot of transparency there. That's about the water. So my concern is also about the air. I mean, obviously, we're in an area where 70+% of the section is already opened up for sand use, for non-metal materials. We have dust already. In our house, we have 3 air cleaners running in it. I can go to the car wash my car, put it in the garage, close up the garage. 3 weeks later, I come in the garage and it's covered with dust. We have dust problems already. Is the air being monitored? Who's doing it? When's it being done? Is the information being shared? I think those things are pretty valid. Also, I mean, how can this not negatively impact our township and not profit it, right? I mean, when when we moved in, that was the time that Lakey was selling property to Matthew. And obviously, at that time, we were close to the sand permit. Now it's in our backyard. We have a 100-foot buffer. Unless we have chickens, then we get 300 feet. So it just doesn't seem to be transparent. And so I think that we're not out of line in asking for some concessions related to the water well protection, the air monitoring, the noise, you know. And are they going to run 3 to 6 weeks every other year? I don't know. I just don't feel like there's enough blinders on to say, you know, 2 years from now it's 3 to 6 months because Minnesota wants more sand. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm glad to know that there's no chemicals and that the water is going to be recycled. That's great. But also, I don't feel as though I agree with the person that stated this is kind of like putting the cart in front of the horse, or whatever the expression is. We don't have anything with the DNR. I don't know if anybody other than these guys have any real realization of how big this aquifer it is, how it gets replenished, how much water we can pull out of it. And I would really like to see a presentation from the DNR, as well as this other gentleman did, so that we get an idea. Right now, it seems like we're looking at a cloud, trying to determine how big it is and how much moisture we're going to take out of it. Also, on this area, not on the specific area that Bob pointed out, but there are mounds of sand, probably 40 to 50 feet high, that have been there for years and years, and there is no ordinance on how big a sand pile can be in this area, right? Obviously, if we have piles of sand everywhere and the wind's going to blow, we're going to have a lot more dust. You know, I didn't hear anything. I heard a little bit about wetting at other locations to keep the dust down. I think that's like a pretty big deal for all the residents in the area. I think that's about all I have. I appreciate your time and hope that you take these things into consideration. When the property was sold from Lakey to Matthey, there was also a lot of discussion about property values, right? I mean, if you have a $400,000 house and you're surrounded by neighbors, you're probably okay. If you have a $400,000 house and it's surrounded by a sand pit, it's obvious that the values go down. But nobody has any concrete, black and white statistics or information related to that. But I don't think anybody's interested in having their property values go down. With that, thank you.
Nothing.
You can respond if the committee would like.
Just a quick response, I think as we go, we'll keep it.
Yeah, this is an existing sand pit. We're not proposing a new sand pit or an expansion of the sand pit, for one. In terms of dust, this is a wet process, so it should have less dust than the associated dry process of screening sand at the site. The DNR regulates the air quality and water quality at this site, and they will regulate the quality of the water in the wash pond. They do not require sampling because we're not using chemicals.
Okay. Thank you. Next one up is Monica Lundy.
Hello, I'm Monica Lundy. I also live on 11th Street with Grant, probably one of the closest neighbors to this proposed operation here. Again, water, air, noise, our biggest concerns, right? Our quality of life in the country. I know Alan was like, there'll only be a couple of feet of water in the pond, big deal. Well, come on, you guys know, they say like a bottle cap of water can create mosquitoes, right? They can breed in that. So a couple of feet of water, what are we gonna have living that close to that pond? Again, with water, if they say there's not gonna be any problems, then guarantee it. Put it down in writing for us. So we have that assurance living there that we're not going to have sediment issues, that we're not going to have water issues. If there's no problem, then they should have no problem putting that in writing, giving us a baseline testing and saying, okay, if you have problems, we will guarantee that it's not because of us. I would like that as part of your conditions. Air quality, again, with living next to a sand pit, right, and adding a washing facility where rock is moving, stuff's coming up. Silica dust is a thing. It causes lung cancer. Can that be placed a mile from any residential area? I would like that. We need a quality of life as well. Noise, berms, I know they said there'd be some kind of a berm around the noise. I'm not exactly sure. But a berm on their site for that machine would definitely be great to hold down the noise for us, that they're right in our backyard, basically, right? So we would like that. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next one up is Susan. I'm not going to try to pronounce the middle one. Thiesing?
Hi, my name is Susan Overhouse Tessing, and I live on County M. And my whole thing is we bought our property in '77. We put our first well in '81. In 2005, after they added more of this water sprinklers, as I call them, our well dried up. So we had to put in another well. In 2012, they added more and our well pump burnt out. How long do I have to put the next one in? It's costing me. I'd like you guys to think about that. The other thing is the amount of water that's going to be going through there. Alone, on our irrigation systems alone, are pumping out 1,000 gallons per minute when they're running. Add more to it. How many wells are going to go dry? We have a lot of water issues as it is. I haven't been able to drink water in my home for almost 10 years because of the nitrate levels. I've had cancer due to it, hair loss due to it. We have now been told that our dogs cannot have it, cannot drink our own water. So now we're adding more issues. I have a swimming pool, has more sand in it than it has water. I have to replace my washer and dryer every 2 years due to sand. And we have, as you put it, your air purifiers. I have 6 of them. I have videos that I can't walk out my back door because the wind is blowing and it looks like a sandstorm. So I'd like you guys to really think about the people that live in this area and how much we have to go through. We don't have the proper living arrangements. It's a very heavy negative impact. And as for the DNR, we've asked for air quality checks. We've never heard anything. We have our own water tested. We're at over 24 on nitrate levels. As for this meeting, I just want to show something. On this letter, it stated that I had 1 week to get somebody, how did you guys put it, an expert witness. Well, it's really hard to get an expert witness when the letter came in Thursday, and that's what it looked like. Can you read my address? Because I can't. 7 of us did not even receive it in our area. And I'd like to show this to
Please, yep. Oh, my.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I own 2 properties, and I didn't get one at the other one. 7 other neighbors did not receive it. When we talked to Rick, he knew there was an issue with the envelopes. Seems like there is an issue that we can't talk or talk to you guys and get the information we need when we need it. Had it not been for one of my other neighbors, I wouldn't have gotten my information. Thank you.
That's the end of my list. Is there anybody here wishing to testify? Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. With that, I will close out the public hearing at 9:33 and open it up for the committee. First thing we should have is a motion and a second, and then we go to discussion.
I'm sorry, David, do you need a motion to go into?
Motion to approve.
I will make that motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Dave.
Okay. Now it's up for discussion.
Well, like I said at the start of it, my first concern and biggest concern is still water quality. They're all concerns. Every single thing that was said is a concern. This isn't something that has to be rushed or approved, and it's probably one of the worst things I hate saying at meetings, but this is not a motion. But I would like to possibly get a little time, call, check, talk to other people. Also want to see if Ready Mix does have, not calling you a liar. Make sure Ready Mix, see if they're washing. But I also would love to see the plan, the DNR, just to start with. I feel like we're going into something that doesn't need to be rushed. And I understand that we can have a conditional permit, that you have to get the DNR approval on top of it. I would personally like a little more time to think about it, discuss, and see some numbers on it. That's my opinion as of right now.
Anybody else?
I was just going to check if the town of Caledonia held a public hearing in any way, shape, or form, or if this is the first time we've been able to have public hearing as far as on the information.
I did not see anything in the information about them holding a public hearing, but.
She's shaking her head. She's the chair.
Ah,
Yep.
Oops, wrong app. Hold on here. I believe it was the 21st.
welcome back.
Yeah.
Good to see you,
Nice to-
Stacy.
Nice to see a bunch of you.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was on Tuesday, the 21st at 7 PM. And I guess I just wanted to make sure everyone realizes the role of the town in this situation, where we can make maybe a recommendation, but ultimately it's the county that decides if this permit is issued or not. So we basically say if we oppose or not, or the town letter was read. So we didn't have anything that, I guess that, and I was on this committee for 4 years, so I understand the processes and the DNR and just all the things that, they would have to go through as far as working with the appropriate agencies to have this done the correct way. There are plenty of things that have come to my attention from the town residents that I wasn't aware of. This is my first term on the board, and I only intend on serving one, so I'm trying to get as much done as I can. But there are other means of communication that we're working on. So I had a really good conversation with Mr. Jensen, and previous boards have done some really great things in our town, but there are ways that we can be using technology to do a better job as far as communicating. So when we have a newer clerk/treasurer that's come on board in the last few months, so that is something we're working on. But yes, we had that on our meeting. Public comment is welcome. But kind of the nature of local government, where unless, we have people that are paying attention on a regular basis, we want to get something in place where even though we're not required to send out notification about these, that we could have a mechanism to do that. So we're working with our clerk on how she would have, being a part-time person, the time and effort to be able to do that. We talked about the comprehensive planning. So that'll be coming up in the next couple of years here. That plan's not set in stone. It's a guideline, more or less. My time on this committee, we saw plenty of times where the zoning didn't match up with the comprehensive planning, but it was a much better fit for that particular landowner, so we take all of that into consideration.
My question about the public hearing was, could you give us a brief summary
Oh, sure.
of how I
Yeah.
want to know locally
Yep.
what the opinions were, what was expressed, if it's similar to here,
We didn't even know about
They did not inform us.
but can I get her summary?
Yeah, so
Sorry.
it was on the agenda, but like I said, because it's a county permit,
Control.
there's different requirements there.
Right.
And we are in a phase right now with our town where we're working on putting more things into place where we would be going above and beyond of what we're required to do. But
Okay.
at the meeting itself, they gave the presentation, we were allowed to ask questions. We asked a lot of similar questions, maybe not some of the detailed ones like hanging clothes out. But my impression was that because the sand would be washed, that there would be less dust. And I think you had mentioned that before, but I wasn't aware of the extent that some of you are facing at your current, the current conditions. So there was a back and forth. We had asked about kind of what you talked about, is there fencing or, what do we have as far as accessibility? They gave us information about the well, and then we knew that the DNR permit wasn't finalized yet. So kind of knowing that process and its conditional use, that if this is approved, that would be a condition on there that has to be in place before it goes.
Thank you. I just
Yeah.
wanted
Does
to
that
know what
help?
happened there.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's huge. If it's in your backyard.
Yep.
And it was brought up and it was public hearing, we need to know that before we make a decision here. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if it was technically labeled as a public hearing, or if it was just more so just on our agenda, because, and that's something we could look to work on as a town as well. Yeah,
Meeting is when the
Yep.
item came up. Thank
Yep.
you.
yeah. Any other questions for me?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
So part of what I think we're hearing today is concerns over the existing operation and that it will only get exacerbated if we grant this conditional use permit. I guess my question is, does the county have oversight over the existing operation, or is it just the DNR for and water quality?
We do have oversight, we do inspections yearly on the mines. So we do go and check on, that they're meeting all the conditions of the ordinance. Mainly, what we're looking at is the depth of the groundwater, making sure they have enough topsoil, stockpiled for when they do the reclamation. And, just the overall requirements in the ordinance. If we get complaints about noise or anything like that that's addressed in the ordinance, we do, look into them and address them as a department.
But in terms of water quality, that's really DNR, right? Or not? Does the DNR inspect? Let me ask that question. Yearly?
I do not believe DNR does, I wouldn't know offhand. The one thing with the ordinance, and this was a permitted facility prior to the last update of the ordinance. The new update states that wells within a mile of the mine boundary shall be tested prior to any mine activity, and then they must do that yearly after that. And I'm not sure if, because of this being a modification to an existing CUP, if they would then need to follow the new ordinance. Do you have any?
It's a good question, but I would rely on the fact that this is a modification. That's the sole issue in front of this committee. And so not the original permit, because that's already in place and stands.
So basically, we're just looking at the well. We can't look at overall operation that has been concerned as far as expressed by the individuals here.
Right, the only issue here is the modification. Nothing against those concerns or anything like that, but just legally, we're here regarding the well.
Thank you.
The well and the pit, or the pond.
Yes.
Yeah. Tony?
Where's the closest running stream here or whatever? I assume they're gonna take the sand and pile it or whatever so it can leachate out or the water separate. Is there gonna be a containment under that sediment pile or whatever for the high nitrates that are in that local area?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Try
Well,
try
okay,
me
so
again.
there's still water, I assume, in the sand after they've washed it and however they're gonna remove it out of the
Oh,
pit
okay.
to a stockpile. Are we gonna require a containment kind of for that, leaching water seepage out of there or no? Because of the high nitrate in the water that's in that area? Kinda like a PFAS or whatever, control? No, yes? Am I asking the wrong question?
I'm trying to, in my mind, think of where the nearest stream is. I don't know if there's.
I don't see anything really here like there would be one in that way. I don't know if it's on the other side of M or not. I don't know. Probably not.
Probably
I believe you have an answer to that question.
Beaver, way off to the distance.
Yeah, we're not using chemicals. We're just using groundwater that came out
I
of.
understand that
Okay.
part of it, but since there is such a high level of nitrate in that area,
Okay.
we recommend not having nitrates move, or we're trying to preserve them from moving from a site or whatever. Do we require that for this sand pile? That would be stockpiled.
You got an answer?
It's the same groundwater that came up that would be going back in.
Right.
No chemicals added, so nitrates,
And based on the question, if I heard it right, is you're worried about water running to a stream, not
Open water or-
filtering back in at
Correct.
the same location.
Correct.
So,
okay, and then in that case, we're washing, these ponds will be constructed above the pit floor, which is already 60 feet below the surrounding landscape.
Okay.
So it's a below-grade
Self-contained, basically
pit.
self-contained. is
It'll
what
be
it is.
totally contained. There's no water getting off-site from this operation.
Good, thank you. Susan, he wants something. I'm sorry, I think you've had your time, sir.
And he's had his time as well then?
Who's, they're they're the, probably, at this point. Yeah. Yep, yep. Anything more from the committee? I heard commentary in regard to wanting to know more information. Is anybody willing to make a motion to postpone?
I want to try to make sure I say this correctly. I would like to make a motion to postpone till we get the DNR report and we have time to look it over and ask any questions that are needed.
Okay. Do I have a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Comment, questions, commentary, discussion on that motion to postpone? Hearing to postpone till we get information, or do we want to clarify that at all for time frame?
I do think we should clarify that. Is there a potential time that we may receive word on the permit?
We're just looking for information as far as when the permit may be approved. Is there any forecast that you got from the DNR so we know when we can address the issue?
It used to take 3 months. The application went in on April 9th. Although we've seen applications go quite a bit longer because of their backlog, is my understanding, and their staffing to review these. They do have a pretty expert staff for conducting these evaluations, in my opinion. They've done a good job lately, taking into consideration all the questions that came up here, compounded effects, for instance. But they're really going to be looking at impacts to nearby wells and streams, and they're going to ensure that the withdrawals that they approve don't have an adverse effect on those nearby users.
But you don't have a forecast
I
you can
don't
give
have a
us.
forecast, and we'd be happy to see this be a condition of the approval, that be forwarded.
Dave, what about if we postpone as far as to a certain time? This is for discussion, it's not a motion for an amendment, but to the next meeting where we could address it again and have it be the next monthly meeting of the environmental land use? Anybody that have an additional suggestion? Other than that, I don't want to leave us hanging here, because we know the DNR, if we don't know when they're going to be able to approve it, but we do know that we'll be meeting again next month.
Do you,
I would make an amendment
or
to
you'll
my,
adjust
my motion
Okay.
to bring it to the next environmental meeting.
Does the second agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so then we can go from there. It's postponed to the next regularly scheduled meeting. That's what we're voting on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, move to the next meeting. One done. And yeah, I will call the next public hearing to order at 9:48.
The meeting's not over.
Hey, folks, we're still in the meeting. Yep. Outside discussion has to go to later. Okay, now, I will call the next public hearing to order at 9, I guess we're at 9:49 now. Conditional use permit, public outdoor recreation park, Town of Trempealeau, petitioners, owners, Town of Trempealeau. Read the petition, please.
Yes. You are hereby given notice that the following conditional use permit will be before the Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, August 5th, 2026 at whatever, time it is, in the county boardroom of the courthouse, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773. The hearing requested by the town of Trempealeau, owners, operators, to consider a conditional use permit for public outdoor recreation park. The location is the southwest one quarter of the southwest one quarter, section 34, township 19 north, range 9 west in the town of Trempealeau, Trumpealeau County, Wisconsin. Parcel number follows. To provide public comment on this hearing during the meeting, please call 715-538-1894. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this meeting. If you are unable to attend and have any questions, please call Mark Carlson with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1919 or email to markcarlson@county.trempealeau.wisconsin.us. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit a written comment, please send your written comments to the Department of Land Management, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773, or email to Mark Carlson. All emails and written comments must be received by August 4th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. Please know that the written comments will be read at the public hearing of up to 250 words. All written comments must include the name and address of its author. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to the meeting date by calling Mark Carlson of the Department of Land Management, 715-538-1919. Sincerely, Mark Carlson.
Okay. Mark, do you have anything on this?
Not overly, I mean, under our table of uses and outdoor recreation requires a conditional use permit, and the park is considered some form of outdoor recreation. So the town just approached me and we went through the process, and obviously the town letter is supporting themselves. You know, the neighbors were notified, you know, this public hearing notice was posted in the paper. I have gotten no input whatsoever from anybody in this matter. And he handed out a map I got yesterday, and I believe I gave a copy to you all to show the layout. And I think it shows inclusively what the, and then Randy did hand out a timeline of how this came to be, you know, three years back. You know, this is the last piece of the puzzle for them to get their park, so. And they are here, so if they want to add anything, but otherwise, pretty minimal impact. You know, like I said, no public input for or against.
Did the applicant have any more commentary, information for us? There he is.
Ryan Hilton, Chair for the town, and Ted Conkle, Supervisor for the town. One thing I did forget to put into that timeline was late 2025, we did meet with the DOT and the landowner that donated in regards to a couple driveways off of Highway 93. The DOT has tentatively approved a road off of 93 that should be on the map, I believe, that Mark handed out. That brief history that was handed out is just a knockdown of a 3-page history report that the board has currently seen at our town. Are there any questions in regards to any of that history? The map that was handed out also is a concept drawing that we were given last Thursday. That could slightly change with a couple modifications, but it does give a very good description of what the final product may look like.
Okay.
And I do have larger scale models. I don't know if you're given one or both of them. Oh, they're both there?
Any other, from the committee, any other questions for him? If not,
Looks like a good addition to the community.
Nice ball diamond.
okay. Mark, did you read the letter from the town, or do we have a letter from the town?
Well, I mean, this letter is written in reference to town Trumpealeau's recent CUP, the applications to approve the town's upcoming smart project. The town board has no objection. Honestly,
Okay.
you know, they're not gonna object. That was just an suggestion.
Okay?
Dave, I'd like to move then that we.
Okay, I got to close the public hearing first.
All right.
No, I did
problem.
close that. Okay,
Yeah.
now it's open for motions, yep.
You bet. The motion would be that we go through with the conditional use as far as land use, public outdoor park for the town of Trempealeau.
I'll second that.
Okay. Questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 9, public hearing for land use rezone transitional ag to residential R8 by Benjamin Swartz, owner petitioner, town of Trempealeau. And I open that at 9:55. Yeah, please.
You are hereby given notice that a public hearing before the Trumbull County Environment and Land Use Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, August 5th, 2026, at the present time, in the county boardroom of the courthouse, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin. The purpose of the hearing is requested by Benjamin Schwartz, landowner petitioner, Trumbull, Wisconsin, is to request a land use change rezone from transitional ag to residential 8 on approximately 13.43 acres to create 2 lots. The location is the southeast 1/4 of the northwest 1/4, section 22, township 18 north, range 9 west, town of Trempealeau. The parcel number follows. Upon request, a map of the property may be obtained from the Department of Land Management. To provide public comment on this hearing during the meeting, please call 715-538-1894. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this hearing but not required. If you're unable to attend and have any questions, please call Mark Carlson with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1919 or email at mark.carlson@county.trempealeau.wisconsin.us before 4:30 p.m. on August 4th, 2026. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit a written comment, please send your written comment to the Department of Land Management, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773, or email to markcarlson@county.trempealeau.wisconsin.us before 4:30 p.m. on August 4th, 2026. Please know that written comments will be read at the public hearing up to 250 words. All written comments must include the name and address of its author and the request that the letter be read at a particular meeting date. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to the meeting date by calling Mark Carlson with the Department of Land Management, 715-538-1919. Sincerely, Mark Carlson, Zoning Administrator.
Thank you. Mark, do we have anything on this?
Essentially, he's got a piece of property that he wishes to section off the home and leave the rest, you know, on its own. So that's a requirement for the rezone because of the density requirement and the amount of acres, you know, R8 would fit in for him to allow to do that. The neighbors have not had any input. I do have a town letter of support. And thanks, Benjamin, for waiting through that first public hearing. And I don't have anything more to add other than that. It's kind of straightforward, like some of the rezones we've done in the past where they want to split some stuff up, and because of the zoning requirements, that has to be zoned a certain district.
Okay. Benjamin, do you have anything additional to add for us? No? Okay. Any other public testimony on this issue? Anyone else wishing to testify? Anyone else wishing to testify? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 9:59. We already had the letter from the town.
I'll read the town letter, I forgot.
Oh, yep.
The letter is written with reference to request by Ben Schwartz to rezone property described at parcel 028, 0217, 0-0 to R8. The board has no objection. Sincerely, Town of Trempealeau.
That's also at,
Mr. Chair,
Oh.
I'd like to move then that we do the rezone from transitional ag to residential R8 by Benjamin Swartz.
I'll second
and
that.
a second. Any more discussion?
On the document in the packet, it says the number of acres to be rezoned is 2. Mark, you said that was changed?
That's, the public hearing notice was, the correct acreage was, and the resolution has the correct acreage on it also. The letter was what had 2 on it then, or his application, I guess, and I changed that to reflect correctly.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. At this point, the chair has to declare a 5-minute. Tom, everybody's back?
Yes, Dave.
Okay, we're back in session. Item 10, reconvene conditional use permit CUP for Campground Glen and Barb Lambright, owner-operators from Town of Preston. I will call the public hearing to order at 10:05. Okay, Randy?
Yes. You are hereby given notice that the following conditional use permit will be before the Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, June.
Oh,
This, the public hearing part has convened already, and we're just, I don't think it has to be read as another public hearing.
Okay. Oh, reconvene, okay.
We're reconvening to what?
Reconvening, okay.
Thank you.
The decision was
Good. Good. No, it's conditional use permit. Sorry about that.
No, that's
Read it
okay.
wrong.
And I'll just-
Okay.
Yeah, go
We're
ahead.
reconvening on that conditional use permit.
And I'll just add that, you know, back in June, you know, it was told that we would be reconvene 2 months. He had some requirements, you know, from the health department, all that, where they were gonna be looked at, you know. And then the town of Preston has a different letter. I'll read that eventually. And I guess I just wanna stress that, you know, a campground, a conditional use permit is required for a campground. And from a zoning standpoint, we're just, okay, you can have your campground. And it does make reference to health and different state requirements. You know, they kind of all go hand in hand. And it was stated at the public, there was if I could find it here now, that the town, health department kind of wants to see a conditional use permit moving forward. So it's part of their process also. I'm not 100% sure on that. I had it in front of me, but now I lost it. But, you know, we're approving the actual zoning aspect of it, you know, and then he has to meet other requirements for the operational use of this campground. And the town, I'll just read the town's most current letter. It was July 27th. And that's when they sent the letter, but they had a meeting on July 13th, revisited the request by Glenn and Barb Lambright. They stated that we are still against the campground, but asked the Environmental Land Use Committee to place the following conditions if they choose to approve the CUP. Allow only 6 campers, enforce a quiet time between 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday would be 8 p.m. Oh, no, that was for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then it would be 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. Monday through Thursday. Pets on leash, no campfires during burn bans, no parking on town roads, which would be Rat and Glenville Lane, or Rat Road and Glenville Lane. And that was passed on a 3-0 margin. Sincerely, Town of Preston.
But, okay, looking to you for what Susan had concerns. Are you up to speed on her concerns and do you wish to elaborate?
I'm a bit up to speed on it, although I think it may make sense to defer to Kai a little bit to update, if that's okay, to put you on the spot.
That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so, Just quick introduction, I'm Kai Jiang, I'm the health officer. I started working for public health as an environmental health specialist, as an inspector. So I just moved into this current position about a few months ago. So back in December 2025 is when, as an inspector, identified that Glenn's campground was renting on Airbnb, and that's when we issued a letter, the first ever letter, to talk about, hey, could you come and apply for license, inviting for a movement on Mr. Lambright's part. And then up until today, unfortunately, I don't think we've seen much of change in terms of operations, even though cease and desist has been sent. There were photos taken. I'm just going to provide some facts pretty quick here. Just so photos were taken on May 8th, 2026, May 29th, and June 16th. And those three times, both the campground was definitely in operation, and we issued citations, which Mr. Lambright has pledged not guilty. So we actually have a trial date set for October 23rd at this moment, this year, to move forward. So, and last Friday, just for the sake of, in case Mr. Lambright has decided to come into compliance, so I drove out there last Friday, July the 31st, and I saw the campground still in operation. There was a dumpster, maybe 2 feet dumpster, full of garbages from the camping. So that's obvious signs that that's still in operation. I do believe there is even more additional campers now since we initially made contact. Yeah, that's all I have. I guess if the committee has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer. It is ultimately your decision. I'm just here providing information if you need it.
And I will also add, there was another citation.
Turn your mic, push the button.
Thank you. I will also add, there was another citation for operating a campground, non-licensed campground. He was found guilty of that by default, has made a request to reopen that matter, and that is pending before the court whether or not that will be reopened at this time. So that is, I guess, where we stand with the current cases going through public health. But to Mr. Carlson's point, this is a, CP, conditional use permit request, which is separate than the other issues. However, those are the issues that we are working through at this time.
Could you just refresh us a little bit about some of the actions that you were expecting to see from the Lambrights?
Yes, so we did send out a letter on June 5th. The requirement that we came up with based on State Administrative Code, ATCP 79 campground code, that is saying no person may operate a campground without a license from the department or its agent. We're an agent. If any one of the following applies: a person offers or intends to offer 3 or fewer campsites and advertises or otherwise presents to the public an offer of the campground or specific campsites. A person offers or intends to offer 4 or more campsites, regardless of whether the person advertises or otherwise presents to the public an offer of the campground or specific campsites. So this is a little different from what zoning code says. That's why I wanted to specifically bring that up. Is Mr. Lambright does not need a license with public health if he offers 3 or less campsites and does not advertise it in any ways. That is not the condition right now of the campground, and we've asked Mr. Lambright to remove all the recreational vehicles from campgrounds permits except for one, because he already has 2 permanently installed camping cabins, which counts as 2 campsites, and then plus 1 RV would land us at the 3 maximum that's allowed without license.
Thank you. So as of right now, you're saying there are how many campsites, campers there?
Last time, before more campers were added, I believe we had 7.
Okay. Mark, did you have any additional?
No, not really. I mean, Glenn and Barb are here,
Yep,
if they want to add to any of this. And I guess, you know, I don't have one way or the other how it gets resolved, but I guess something needs to be resolved, you know, and, you know, the conditions that the town recommended, you know, I don't think they're reaching too far, you know, some of them are, you know, like burn ban is kind of a thing anyways. If there's a burn ban on, you can't burn, but at least it would address their concerns, you know, if that was, if those conditions were listed. And then, you know, and then we have to rely on the court system and some of the campground requirements and all that. They're mentioned in our ordinance that they must meet those. So, you know, we're just using this CUP as a land use thing, so, and,
Mr. Lambert, did you want to speak to us? Okay.
It's right, is it on? Good morning. When I first met with Kai at her office over here at the Health Department, I came in and talked to her, and I had informed her that we had bookings last year for this year and what we should do about that. We can't just call Airbnb and say, hey, we can't host these people anymore. And then she informed me, says, just don't do any more bookings. Block your booking, any more new bookings off. That's what we did. There's 2 campers sitting there by the pond, by the campground there. They've been blocked off all summer long. Those are our 2 campers, are the ones we own. And then there was another one that was sitting by the cul-de-sac. That one's gone now. That one got hauled away was it last Saturday or something? Yeah. So I also got a phone number, I can't remember the guy's name that, Kai, can you, what's the guy's name, the other guy, the guy that you work with? Eddie, thank you. They had given me a phone number. They asked the campers, where does the sewage go from the campers? I said it goes into a 2,000-gallon tank. And when that gets full, we call the sewer guy, and he pumps it out and takes it away. And then the shower house goes into a 1,500-gallon tank, and that's got a drain field. They gave me the first phone number they gave me to call to come out and look at the sewer tank for the campers and the tank and the drain field for the shower house. I called him up. His name is Anthony. I didn't get a last name. Anyway, he told me that he was not the guy to come and look at that stuff. I said, okay. I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'm getting a lot of static here. I need to do something. They want me to look at this if it's good, make sure it's approved. Now, I did the work. I put the tank in for the campers. I put the drain field in and the tank for the shower house. And I used to help Ivan Semmingson years ago when I did that little development there out there where I live. So I dug most of the drain fields and helped Ivan put all that in. But anyway, what I'm saying is Anthony gave me a number. The guy's name was Jeff. I don't remember getting a last name from him, so I called him and told him that we started out with 1 camper, and then 2, and then went 3, and then 4. So I was informed that I need a license. And I was told to call this Anthony guy. This Anthony guy gave me your number, so I'm calling you. It's kind of stressful. I want to do the right thing. What do I need to do? And I said, meanwhile, I hired High Cliff Consulting, Mark and Emery Palmer, to do a soil test for a new house. I also had him look at the tank for the campers and the drain field tank for the shower house. He said, work with your soil tester. You're on the right track. Just stick with him, and he'll tell you what to do and what not to do. So he's been out there. He approved the holding tank for the campers, and I just talked to him last week. He called me and said the tank and the drain field for the shower house is good. Everything is good. I'm just waiting for the drawing to come back on the tank and drain field for the shower house, and he said, I don't know what they'd find wrong there. Everything looks good as of right now. I said, okay, thank you very much. So if you guys need a letter from Mark and Emery Palmer, High Cliff Consulting, about this tank for the campers and the tank and drain field for the shower house, I would be happy to get that information so you guys can be at ease that everything's okay.
Well, I mean, you should have gotten that all, you shouldn't have put these things in yourself, for starters. Palmer's supposed to review all this and then tell you what you're supposed to be putting in. And I did reach out to Palmer after the last meeting, and he said, yes, he has been working with you.
Yeah.
So I will reach out to him again, and if there's proof that what you installed meets, DSPS requirements, we could work around getting it properly permitted for that. But that's all supposed to be done before you put it in. And Palmer, I'll reach out to Palmer for some of the specifics,
Okay.
but after the fact permitting is generally not what we want to do, But if they can prove one way or the other that what was installed in fact does meet and the soil requirements are being met, we can maybe work around, I wouldn't say overlooking it, but make sure they are permitted correctly. Because licensed plumbers are supposed to install these things. Soil tests are supposed to be done to prove what's needed, and then it gets constructed. That's how it's supposed to work.
Anybody?
I was just gonna clarify something Mr. Lambert mentioned. So when he came to us, meet with us for the first time in December, that was December 18th, 2025, and then he was given all the way until April the 14th, 2026 to come into compliance. That's a good close to 120 days, 117 days that he had. And on April the 14th, 2026, we issued cease and desist letter. And on the letter, it specifically says you're hereby ordered to cease operation of the facility, and it spells out penalties for operating without a license. So I wouldn't agree that we didn't inform him that he needs to stop operation at that moment.
If I remember at the last meeting, hearing that very same thing, that it was a cease and desist, and I guess.
I have a hard time hearing what she just said.
She just was mentioning about the cease and desist order that put you out of compliance by still operating.
The cease and desist?
Yeah, so you were supposed to stop operating until you came
Well,
into
I have a
compliance.
question. And please don't interpret my language any different. We have a constitution and as Americans, we have some inalienable rights. Now, I'm not out there committing any crimes or doing bad things, hurting anybody. We hold a 5-star superhost rating through this camping Airbnb thing. We have a great record. That's as high as you can go, 5-star superhost rating. We've hosted some of the most wonderful people all across the country. They had a blast of their lifetime. As far as our wells, the well for the house, the Airbnb house, that water is also supplied to the campers. Then there's a separate well to the shower house. They've both been tested. Water is good. We also, since the since the sand mines have been around, I installed filters on all our water. It comes out of the ground, goes through a filter before it goes anywhere. We've had problems with sediment, sand, stuff like that, and you know, I'm not complaining about. I just put filters in and you know, did what I got to do for that part of it. So you know, my big question is, you know, yeah, maybe I didn't obey your ordinance, your codes, your stuff, but that we have a constitution that has made this country the greatest country in the world. And it seems like we just have, we have no say-so anymore. We have to come beg some part of government to do anything we want to do. Why? Why is that? What happened? What happened to our freedom? Our God-given and inalienable rights? I mean, this is a question. Can somebody explain that to me? Am I maybe not understanding the English version of that or something? I mean,
I don't think we're expecting anything more of you than we don't expect from
Right.
other people in your position.
right. So, I mean, can we move forward and just, are we going to hold a grudge against me forever? I mean, Mark told me that
Compliance.
there's nothing wrong out there. He said everything you did is good. Mark Palmer, I'm sorry. Maybe I should just say High Cliff Consulting. I'll just say High Cliff Consulting, Emery, Mark and Emery Palmer.
I guess my question is
go
more
ahead.
for Corp Council. I know it's separate from the cases, and we got to try to, but can we move forward with cease and desist letters / cases? I mean, I just don't know where to go from here.
I have a follow-up with that is, who issues the camping license? Board of Health Department
Well,
or ELU?
There's a number of people involved with this, right? So there's the conditional use permit piece, but there's also a regulation that comes through DADCAP and through the health department. And so they kind of work in tandem to approve a campground. And so that's going to be necessary on both ends for this to be approved. You will need the zoning piece of this as well as the public health piece of this, ultimately, at the end of the day, for it to be operational. And with the cease and desist going forward, I mean, ultimately, I would work with public health, but I think there's going to be issues there if those public health issues are not resolved. So even if the conditional use permit is ultimately approved hypothetically, we still will have issues on the public health side if those issues are not resolved.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we table it a couple of months ago?
To this meeting, right, yeah.
And it doesn't seem like these things have been resolved. We had the sanitation issues and we had the TRH or whatever that is for advertising Airbnb.
Of course, no.
It's not about inalienable rights, it's about following the rules.
Is the Airbnb included in the CLU? That's a separate, is it not?
Yes, it is. We allow tourist rooming houses specifically in our ordinance, as long as it's got a functional sewer system, you know, outbuildings aren't being used. It's allowed without anything, without a condition.
Without us being in, the committee
And the
being
campground
involved.
part of it is
That-
just the camping part.
That's with 3 camp, that
3 or
Kai said,
less.
2, 3 or less.
Yeah, that's their definition of a campground. The county's is 5.
Right.
But then it says unless it's a licensed campground. So, and we can follow through, and we will follow through with the septic-related issues. You know, I'll touch base with Palmer and see if everything is true what's being said. I find it hard to believe that he would say those things, but I'll ask him. And if we can get something on paper that says they're hunky-dory and they're working and they meet, we'll permit them, you know. And then, but it's all after the fact. Unless you got Superman vision, you don't know what you're looking at because it's all underground. So I'll rely on Mark Palmer's input on that because he's a professional soil tester. He did zoning, Emery did zoning. They all know what the requirements are. And I guess we just want to put this one to rest, and I mean, I don't want to put anybody out of business, but I want to see it done right, and I want everybody's departments to be satisfied with the end result.
So, just to try to get my mind unclogged here, if we were to approve the conditional use here, that would just put us out of it, but the health department and sanitation would all still be subject to being,
I would agree, so yes. I mean, the CUP is allowing them to have a campground as a land use of that property. All the other stuff still needs to be met. And it's, by issuing a CUP, you're not saying it's all being met, you know. So there's all kinds of issues that need to be fixed here. And, you know, there's only the hope that it will all iron itself out eventually and everything will be great. But the CUP does not give them permission to do anything other than we just issue a CUP to be allowed to have a campground.
So keeping everything else separate, technically, it would be fine.
I would agree, so yes. Yeah.
Well, apparently he's operating without a CUP anyway.
Well, we came here months ago to, once it was determined to be a campground that needed one, we came here, so.
And then the other thing we got to take a look at is the local group, Town of Preston Supervisors. They're in opposition of it, and they have stipulations they'd like to include if we do a CUP. So don't forget the stipulations that they're recommending. I never think we should ignore local municipalities when they have recommendations.
100% agree.
You know, in essence, too, the existing shower drain field and septic setup that we don't know is big enough even for what's there or applicable, would be adding more usage to it.
We'll have to look at all that, you know, see what Palmer's findings are. You know, the shower is just based on number of showers, and there's an estimate number of people that actually use it. You know, it's just a number of a guesswork for gallons per day and all that kind of stuff. And then a holding tank is just what it is, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, I would recommend going for the town's wishes for sure, you know, and whichever one you choose to go, either their opposition wish, or if, you know, there's a list of things that they, and we can even add things, but they have a pretty good list, and I think it's something to start with, and just start the ball rolling on making it compliance, or if you deny it, then we'll just totally say you need to get rid of it all.
Mr. Chair.
Tony?
Since Glenn and then Barb do have investment in this to try to do things right, do we put a time limit on, you either meet in compliance of this, or we will withdraw the conditional use permit if we do approve it, or not, or
I've never
I don't
seen,
know.
you know, the conditions are what they are, you know, if they're not being met, then the conditional use permit would be revoked. So I don't think it's out of the question to have, to prove that it's being licensed correctly and all that, you know, within a certain, but then, you know, what kind of number do you put on it as far as the date, you know?
Well, that's what I mean. I
6
mean,
months
we've-
from now, or before next
camping season.
Next
I mean,
camping
we've been
season,
here for
you
4
know.
months now, we've dealt.
Right. I don't think
Here.
it's out of the realm. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean,
I think you could do it. I think the primary issue here and it is whether there will be compliance, period. Is it possible to get compliance in a specific amount of time? I'm not sure, just as Mark had indicated, when we're going to know that. If you're going to issue a CUP because you feel that compliance could be obtained, those are the steps down the line. And I'm not sure if that answered all of your question.
Well, it does, but I mean, so do we put it as you either comply for approval or we just deny it now and be done with it?
And that's up to the discretion of this committee.
I mean,
It's a primary,
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I guess I would, if you're gonna put conditions on, I would recommend the 5 conditions that the town had come up with. And then another couple conditions of must meet all, health department,
and state can't.
state and DSPS, all those requirements for sure prior to next camping season, you know. Other than that, I mean, we can maybe cut our losses and say, okay, he's doing this now. But if we really want to be cooperative and work well and not just totally say, forget about it, it's gone, have those conditions in there. And then if they don't follow through with them, then we'll just pull the conditional use permit, and then they would be operating a campground without a conditional use permit, and that'd be another violation, so.
and if I may, and the committee might already be fully tracking this, but just to make sure it's very clear, I think we definitely need written documentation from High Cliff.
I will reach out to them today. I did reach out to them after our last meeting, after he did state that he had contacted them, and I did contact them just to verify that, and they have. So. And I have gotten soil tests from the home he is referencing to, but I have not seen anything in regards to the campground.
I have a question about if we would deny the conditional use, can they meet their conditions and then reapply for the conditional use? Because I'd have a much better time with these things, you know, more concrete or some idea of what's going forward instead of like all of these, like if, when, we'll see.
I mean, there's some, I don't know the exact wording, but if someone gets denied a conditional use permit, they are allowed to reapply. I can't remember what the time frame was, but it could be up to the discretion of the committee to meet earlier than that time frame. And I guess, you know, putting conditions on, you're kind of, in my mind anyways, you're kind of stating everything that needs to be met. And if it doesn't get met, then your conditional use permit is not going to be valid anymore. I mean, requiring a new submittal, you know, is going to be more cost, another public hearing. This way, if it gets approved, I'm saying, yeah, I'm not saying to approve, I'm just saying if it gets approved, that whole list of conditions must be met. And then when it isn't met in that time frame, then we would rescind it. So it's kind of built in that they have to comply eventually. I don't know about the date of when we're going to allow this to get drug out even further. But it is August, you know, camping season should be winding down, and for sure. But then the more rope you give somebody, the more they're going to do. I mean, you got to have something with some teeth.
Go ahead, Tom.
One other question. You talk about, are you building a new house? So the old house will stay too? So do we need, you can't have two homes
He's
on
building
it.
a new house on a whole different lot. It's
Oh,
not
different
even
lot,
close
okay,
to this,
that's-
yeah. And that's separate from everything, yeah.
Mr. Chair, is it possible that, to avoid having to reapply, because my head's kind of where yours is at, Randy, is that we table it again until, and say, don't come back until you've met the conditions? And we have that October trial date too?
Yes.
And
Yes,
that's
we
related
do.
to the cease and desist?
It is for operating the unlicensed campground, and, you know, with that, should he be found guilty of that, I think that may cause some additional problems with getting approval through the health department, but, you know, some of that's yet to be determined at this time.
But that would be outside of this committee, really, for that.
True, yes.
Chair, we could table it until the needs are met for us, correct?
Well, we could, but what needs would we be expecting to be met other than the ones we've talked about here today?
That's already under the board. No, okay.
I guess it's
No.
an intangible thing, just the idea that he's going to follow, you know, what gets set forth with the conditions from the town.
Well, I think the septic needs are a need, period. You know, they're not a condition.
Yeah.
That should have been done right in the first
Right.
place.
Right, right,
I mean, that's, they're supposed to be doing that correctly. And that's gonna have to happen regardless, you know, and like I said, I'm gonna follow through with the Palmers. But it's not a condition to have a functional licensed DSPS permitted.
Right.
That's a requirement, you know.
And we don't have that today.
Not at this time, no. But we could, the purpose of a conditional use permit is to list the conditions. Most people don't have a list of conditions to meet before they can even come in and get a conditional use permit in the first place. So. I mean, there are standard conditions that apply, and they should be well aware of all that, but, I mean, I don't know what a good answer is on this one, quite honestly. I mean, if we want to be cooperative and promote the tourism and have a campground and everything is met, so be it, then, but that's not a guarantee that's gonna be a smooth road to toe when it comes to getting all that stuff, so.
Chair, if I may.
Oh, go ahead.
And I want to go back and circle back to the procedural question. It is possible to postpone this to next month. That would give the department a chance to talk to Highcliff, get the documentation. It would require another, time before the committee, but at least that basic information would be received before the committee has to make a decision.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good way to look at it, isn't it?
Does anybody like that idea?
Yeah.
What's that?
Is there a motion pending right now? I'm sorry.
No, we just opened the discussion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to postpone and wait for compliance notifications on the second.
Wait for compliance or postpone to the next meeting?
Postpone to the next meeting. I guess that's all we.
Yep. Okay, motion to postpone to the next meeting, next scheduled meeting, where hopefully more information shows up. Do I
Second.
have a second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Moved on to next month for more. Item 11, solar and data center fee schedule. Who's,
Just canned it. What if they don't?
I guess, through our discussion at the JDA stuff,
yep,
the CUP for one of these is just like what Glenn had paid for a CUP.
right.
Maybe we feel maybe they should charge a little bit more for a solar panel field. And we kind of included the reclamation mining fee schedule too, because it's all based on acreage in there. And we charge $1,500 for a CUP for a cell tower. And that's kind of what was brought up. I mean, Susan or someone can add to that, but I mean, we feel maybe we should be charging more for a fee for this type of thing.
Well, there must be some benchmarking from other communities that have done this?
Yeah, I mean, other communities, they do their thing, we do our thing, I guess. You can always ask for a reference to see what they charge, but we do have a fee schedule for mining that is in the books, so.
But the fees basically help monitor or pay for
Well,
the
I mean, I
department
don't,
to do
we're all gonna have to
supervision, right?
address it anyways, no matter what the fee is, but I mean, and it just seems like a pretty minimal fee for that type of activity, like Glenn and Barb paid $500 for what we just went through, and we're gonna go through again, but, we feel they should probably have to pay more, because, we're gonna have a lot of eyes on this, and,
I totally agree with your point,
but we
Mark.
don't have anything set in stone. I
But-
mean, we're just throwing it out there at this point.
I know, and I'm saying maybe just finding out what others have done. It
Yeah.
might be more than 1,500,
Well, I think St. Croix County's for that 10-mile was a lot more in the permit
Yeah.
process.
I mean, you gotta count the fact that it's gonna be a big application, and to review it is gonna take time.
Oh, yeah, I'm not looking forward to looking at the whole thing. I mean, that's what we have to do, and,
But Well, why
maybe
don't we-
bring it here and have everybody look at it, and,
Right.
but, it was just brought up during that JDA agreement that, and they haven't turned anything in yet, so, I mean, they were going to, but they didn't, and, fees are, everybody's expected some type of fee,
What'd you base the cell phone tower fee, 1,500 on?
I don't know what
Acreage
that was. I
fight,
mean, I
or-
wasn't involved with that, but there's some statute limitations on how much you can charge. Like mining, I think, like the DNR ain't gonna let some county charge $100,000 for a permit. There's some language in there, I just haven't seen it for this. All it says it can't do undue cost or something, and that's a pretty broad thing there. If they're investing all this money, a $5,000 permit fee isn't gonna be the deal killer. And I'll look at what other counties, some counties are kind of in our place too, everybody thinks this is so new and who knows what they, some of them, but some of them already had gone through it and there's some out there, you can see what they charge, but the mining one, I think it's kind of a start, but it's talking about, they gotta go out and investigate how much disturbed area there is, and that's how they base their reclamation fees and their yearly fees. We don't have to do that because that's there.
So what are we looking, what are
I
you looking for
I
from
don't know
us?
anymore, but, yeah.
What do you, okay, for this, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
For smaller ones, like private ones, like say, somebody puts on their house or Riverland or whatever,
Yeah.
did we charge them for? $3.75. Just $3.75 is the basic. What if we said 10 cents a kilowatt or whatever, so that'd be $8,000 for this one at 80 megawatts or
Yeah,
whatever. I
You know,
mean,
that's,
That'd be
that's a
standard.
good, at least then they have a baseline, yeah. That'd be a good idea.
GEC does charge a wattage over, I don't know exactly what the wattage is, but they have an extra charge over a certain kilowatt they charge for a solar on your house.
Okay.
Well, we
Who's that,
can-
GDC?
GEC, our
They do our
building
building.
company.
We can, yeah, we'll look at that, I guess. I'll dig into, that's a good idea, it's a quantifying thing, because then you can say this times this and this is what your fee is. That's how the building permits are, it's your square foot of your
Square
home.
footage charge.
And at least that treats everybody fairly then that way, if they have a.
Here again, Mark, do we, or Susan, whoever, do we need something in place prior to an application, or we can't change our fee after the application comes in?
We couldn't change it for that application, so it'd be nice to have something in place.
Right.
We can
I'd
change it
be
down
open
the
to
road.
it, for Tony's
Well, that's a good
suggestion
idea.
to,
Let's
for
just do
right
that
now.
then.
To
I'll make
use
a motion that we charge 10 cents a kilowatt for any proposed solar projects in the county in the
the
future.
permit fee.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good idea.
Do I have a
second that
to
motion.
one? And it's- Riker, you second, no. Oh, Kevin did, okay.
Should have said it louder, Dave, I
Yes, you
apologize.
should have. Someday I'll get my hearing aid fixed.
No, that's all right, I'll go with more volume.
I'd turn it off.
That's only at home.
Oh, she's probably listening to you.
Is there anything in the statute about this that we need to be concerned about, or?
It has to be reasonable. So we have to have a reasonable basis.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's unreasonable. No.
Well, I mean, what's the charge? I mean, what are you getting paid for hourly rate or whatever, what you get paid for? I mean, this is a group. I mean, it must be hundreds of dollars a day if you were reviewing the packet for, so I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I can always reach out and email Jade and say, because they already had stuff in the works to submit these things and a check. I can say, well, things haven't changed drastically other than, the fee schedule is now this, and then they would have to see what their pushback is on it. If they say, okay, then I guess I deem it unreasonable because they didn't argue about it. But I don't know what's reasonable and what's unreasonable. Everybody has a different outlook on that, but I think it's a good start.
Yep.
The only thing I would point out is, we have experience from around the state, from much bigger systems than what we're putting in here. And if we're 4 times what is from other counties, that could fall into partly unreasonable.
And
I'm
fees could
for the
be-
idea of raising the fee, don't get me wrong, but we just kind of threw out 10 cents a kilowatt. Works out to what, 8,000, does that work out to be?
For 80.
Yeah, should it be 8 cents or 5 cents? You know, and I like the per kilowatt base charge, but I just don't think we should be out of line with what's going on in the rest of the state. We can be higher, but fourfold higher? A quick search, not exhaustive, pulls up $500 to $2,000 for large-scale utility. So if we're at 8,000, fourfold different, is that too high? I don't know. You could try it and see if
I
they,
mean, fee schedules can be changed yearly if we had to. You know,
Yeah.
we do it every once in a while, we'll raise our fees.
Yeah.
We come to the committee and say, okay, we're now gonna charge $200 for a land use permit instead of it used to
Yeah.
be 50. So things can be adjusted,
Yeah.
you know, one way or the other.
And by establishing a price, we give someone who's investing or dealing with as far as material, we give them knowledge rather than leaving it in limbo.
Right.
Putting something solid, I like the idea of us putting it together right now. We can go back and reevaluate it, but a lot of this stuff, when you're investing thousands of dollars, you want to know what the cost is going to be. You know, and I think that would be a good start.
and I think just justifying it based upon increased staff time, you know, we're looking at, you know, this is not your ordinary CUP.
No, it's not. No, in fact, they recommended increasing staff to monitor and follow step by step of the whole project is what the Wisconsin Farmers Union in that meeting we had in Osceola.
True, yeah,
So
Fair
I
enough.
would say we're not out of line.
fair enough.
If we get a lot of pushback, we'll have to rethink it.
Yeah, that's a good
You
point,
gotta
too.
start somewhere, I would think, you know, and
And we meet every month, so we can look at it again.
Yep. But in the meantime, if they send the application in tomorrow, we're stuck with $375 for the price for it, unless we make a change,
yeah.
so. Any more questions or discussion? The motion was to set the permit fee for solar installation at 10 cents per kilowatt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That didn't do much for data center yet, but we'll,
Chair, if I may bring up a procedural
okay,
piece.
now Susan's got a procedure issue that I blew.
Well, I apologize because I stepped out as well, and I didn't realize that there was not anything before the table on number 10. And so I'm going to ask that there's an amendment to something that was previously adopted, and from there, we need to pull, it's to accomplish the same thing, but just to clean it up procedurally. So we need to pull it from the table and postpone it to next month.
The fee?
So I-
Which one?
The one on the Landbright
Yes.
campground,
The
it was
campground.
postponed to the meeting, but then the action, it was never
We did not
removed
officially
from the
bring it
table.
off the table because
Somebody
we
didn't
went to
take
work
it
on
off
it.
from the table, that's why I asked, is there a
Okay.
motion that we can act on? Because you can't postpone it until you have a motion available to the assembly.
Right, yep.
So that's, what we're just trying to clean up the paperwork.
Yep.
Okay.
Explain yourself, sir.
So with this, we need a motion and a second, and then a majority vote in case there are any questions.
I will make the motion,
I will second.
okay. And then, anybody still confused? Okay, all in
Does it matter
favor,
if
say
I say
aye.
yes?
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I just went through the June minutes is what I was doing and
Oh.
noticed that it was still, we didn't have it retrieved from the table to make it to the assembly.
Item 12 was a discussion on a data center moratorium. It just says discussion possible action, but this is for discussion only. Do we,
Well, I mean,
or are we running out
within the
of
last
time
few
to-
days, there's been like 6 to 8 counties that are getting moratoriums put in, and there's like happening either this week or today. You know, they're all, I mean, We got Jefferson County, we got Iowa County, we got Sawyer County, we got Adams, Monroe. They're all coming up with resolutions. I mean, they just came out with all this yesterday, so I didn't read them all word for word, but basically, I think the gist of it is they're having a moratorium, so they have time to address their concerns, and most of them have been 12 months.
But I would
I mean, we can-
postpone it and put it as a future agenda item for next month.
You know, we don't hear of anything, so
Yeah, we don't have one in play,
motion-
written up right now.
motion to postpone to next month. Do I have a second?
I'll second
Okay, a second. Any questions on that? Okay, that data center moratorium is postponed to next month, or the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
I just want to make it clear, are we postponing even thinking about doing a resolution, or do you want one written up by next month?
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to have something written up by then, if you can do it.
Well, I'll grade out my typing skills again, I guess.
Nice job, Mark. Thanks for volunteering.
Just IT.
Well, yeah.
It'll go.
Okay. Item 13, appointment of Kellen Nelson as alternate on the Board of Adjustment. Discussion, possible actions.
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Kellen Nelson as an alternate on Board of Adjustment.
Second.
And a second. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That'll be
Appointment of
brought
To-
to the
What's that?
county board also.
Yep. Appointment of Tony Munson as alternate to the Land and Water Committee. Discussion.
I'll make a motion to appoint him as an alternate.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. A zoning update with Mark. Anything quick?
Oh, we got another rezone coming up and another CUP coming up.
Okay.
Other than that, it's just normal zoning stuff, I guess, so.
And then we, conservation update with Rick.
All right, first of all, I'd like to, you all should have gotten the bios from our two new conservation specialists. Nathan had an appointment with the landowner this morning, so he headed out to that, but we do have Olivia here. I'll have her come up and introduce herself.
I'm Olivia, oh,
Oh,
okay.
never mind.
I'm Olivia Peach, I'm the new, one of the new conservation specialists, so I've been here about a month, but moved to the area. Otherwise, like Rick mentioned, Nate is the other conservation specialist, so we're just getting started in the new position, meeting everyone, kind of learning the roles, so it should be exciting, kind of getting to know everyone and learning how to do everything.
Thank you. Next thing I have is MDV funding. I got a call from Gaylord Olson, who is the county conservationist over in Jackson County. They have some MDV funding that they are running into problems of finding suitable sites to do projects. Was talking with him, and he was asking if we had any locations, any project sites that we could utilize them on. This is a very early stage. We are still in the discussion process of, what all we're gonna do. I'm kind of lining up, I know I've contacted, I think, three landowners with some stream bank protection projects. They are interested. I'm not saying they're committed to doing them, but they're interested. So as we iron out things, I'll have more information. I guess I'm just, giving you guys the information that we're going down this road, possibly going down this road. I guess I could ask for your approval to continue down this road, to do some of these projects with the funding through Jackson County. They have mentioned that their technician would do the design and work with us to do implementation. So I think it's a win-win for the county. I think,
So is it farms you'll be going to contacting?
Mostly, yeah, mostly private landowners. We're looking at mainly stream bank protection, some riprap jobs, possibly some other things. Gaylord's not a big fan of, putting a dam that's 1,000 feet away from the stream. He would rather see it on the streams themselves to protect those stream banks. So, like I said, I just, maybe get you guys' support on that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to move in support of the cooperation with Jackson County on funding for the 3 to 4 producers that we have as far as from the Environment and Land Use Committee.
You want to add technical help to that?
And I will add technical help to that.
Okay.
Second.
Do
I'll
I have a
second that.
second to that? Tony? Okay. Any other discussion on it?
Just a quick question, the MDA funding, is that state or federal?
It's DNR funding. It
DNR
is
funding,
from municipalities or
Oh,
point
okay.
source.
Oh, that's what.
Trade-offs,
Yeah.
it's the trade-off system
Yeah,
or whatever.
okay.
right?
My only comment is, do we want to limit it to 3 or 4? I mean, that's what I've contacted already. It looks like their funding is fairly substantial, so we could possibly, if I could locate them, more over the next year or two.
Would
or
it be a
three.
continuation of a stream that has had improvement on, or would it be an original
Available funding.
startup one? Like, say, Traverse Valley, or,
Oh,
or, I mean, what waterways you'd be working with?
So it would have to
Are
be
they all
in
correct?
the Buffalo watershed or the Middle Trempealeau watershed. That's where they have extra
Adjoining.
funding from. So, like I said, the 3 that I've contacted are up towards Pigeon Falls area. So,
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to amend it that it says the available funding, so there's no limit as far as long as there's money, that we'd have it. So I'd add on the term available funding at the end of the statement.
Second, I'll amend that
Okay.
second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Of the amendment.
Aye, what?
We have to vote on the amendment first, right? We have to, on the amendment first and
Okay,
then the main
amendment.
motion.
Okay, I was assuming you were just adding to your original and the second.
But then
was
you
a-
do have to do the amendment first and then go to the original.
Okay. Okay, do we understand? This is on
The amendment of adding,
the amendment of adding wordage to the original amendment, or original motion. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Now, we're voting on the amended motion. And I'm not even, I was gonna go there. All in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Rick?
next thing, the Land and Water Conservation Board is a committee on the state level. They are looking for any nominations, anybody who would like to run to be on that board. It is a 2-year term. They meet, from what I see on their agendas, every other month. And it would be an election process, and anybody who would like to throw their hat into the ring, so to speak, would need to do that by noon on September 28th. Just an information for anybody. 3 of the members of the board have to come from Land and Water Conservation Department committees like this. So, if anybody is interested, I don't think we need to act on it right now, but if anybody's interested, and they would like to serve on that
Is this
board.
the statewide board or the regional?
This is the statewide. If anybody would be interested, have them, or please come and see me and we can get more information on it. That is for time restraints, that'll be it. That's all I got. Thank you.
There was a subparagraph A on a hardship application?
I'm sorry, there was a separate agenda item. So, okay. I'm sorry, I thought that was a separate agenda item. So Willis and Bridget Breska have applied for a hardship for a conservation practice that we are cost sharing with them. It is a waterway and an underground outlet along with a tile line to, conduct a spring flow to the nearby creek. We normally cost share 70% with the landlord picking up 30. They are asking for a hardship, which would then, we would cost share the 90%, and they would pick up the 10%. Total cost on the project was, I'm trying to see. I think it was like 15 something. $15,573. So I need the committee's approval to go and offer them the hardship of the 90% cost.
Rick, what's the past precedent? How often have we given hardship, and what do we use as criteria?
So I have a letter from their finance advisor stating, that they are basically negative on their tax returns. And there is a form that they have filled out and had notarized. In the past, since I have been here, I have not seen one go through. I have not seen anybody even apply for it. On the other end of that, we do have funds available, so, I guess it would be up to this committee.
Has the project been started or not yet?
No.
It's just the application phase.
They cannot be started. It's been bid out. We have an accepted bid from a contractor, but we cannot start it until the contracts are signed, so I can't sign the contracts until we get this finalized. And we're hoping to get this in yet this fall.
I'd move to accept the hardship.
And I'd second that motion.
We don't have any information on how often or what criteria is actually used for this. Is that correct?
Not that I have seen. From what I see from looking it up through DATCAP, is we needed the letter from their financial institution, and then the notarized request, which I have both of those too. And then they did include their last tax returns with the letter.
I'm not talking about this particular issue. Comes to mind first for me is the overall issue. Are we setting a precedent here, and will this become the norm in the near, or anything like that? That's my concern, and I'm asking the question.
There's always a risk of that, Dave, but I thought the letter was quite compelling, and that's the basis for my motion.
Okay.
And we have a relatively small amount of money, and we have funds available.
Yeah. My quick figures is roughly $3,000 is what we're talking about.
Where does the money come from? Just a fund that we?
This would come from DADCAP through our soil water resource management.
It's pass-through money, it's not local levy money, correct?
It's not levied money?
No.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Well, do we need to vote?
Well, yeah, well, that's going to that next, yeah.
You gotta close it.
Randy?
Just to be clear, it's going from the 30% to the 10%?
That they
Correct.
did.
So their portion would be like $1,500.
$1,500.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Susan, I should have asked, this is a monetary issue, do we need a roll call? Okay, let's go back for a roll call. Whalen,
Yes.
Riker, Todd,
Yes.
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Larson, yes. Okay, we did it. Anything else, Rick?
That is it.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
good. Future agenda items, I think we've pretty much discussed those. Does anybody have anything else they want to add to next month? Next meeting date, Wednesday, September 2nd, at 8:30 in the morning. Okay, so, hear no complaints. Adjourn this meeting at 11:08.